Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and first of all, once again, I am sorry for not uploading on Thursday. I was at my mom's the whole week for reasons. I didn't take my camera with me, so I didn't have the possibility to film. Also, I'm currently in a bit of a filming slump. It might just be the stress of the, end of the semester, beginning of the semester workload that I have. So hopefully it'll subside in the next few weeks. But because of that, I decided to, give myself an easier time today, film a quite easy video, and I decided that this year I once again want to try my hand at seasonal book hauls. So today you'll get my winter book haul consisting of all the books that I have gotten since the beginning of the year. So mostly January and February, going into March already. So I have a total of 23 books here, which is quite a lot considering that I have only read I think 10 or 11 books so far this year. And it's just like, my book buying ban, which basically was just that I didn't want to buy any books that I didn't know I would read in the near future. My book buying ban is over, and suddenly I cannot stop myself. So yeah, maybe 2023 is gonna start a new TBR Zero project. We'll see how I'll do this year. Also, I have already gotten a lot of books because January, February tends to be the time when I get the most books because I get gift cards for Christmas, and then also my bookstore has this system where at the beginning of the year you get a percentage of what you spent at the store the previous year. And yeah, that percentage for me is always quite high because I tend to spend a lot of money at the bookstore. And then also for some reason my bookstore always has the most deals at the beginning of the year, so yeah. January and February are hard for me to hold back. But since I've now rambled on for long enough, let me get into this book haul. I have three groups of books. I have first fantasy books, so historical fantasy, romantic fantasy, high fantasy. Then I have literary fiction. There might be some books in there that are more speculative literary fiction, magical realism, fabulism, and so on, but are still more literary fiction than they would be fantasy. And then I have a third group of books that are books that I got again, or that I have already read previously but then got again for reasons. So yeah, let's start with fantasy, and I won't be able to tell you a lot about a lot of these books because most of these books are still unread. So I will keep my summaries quite short, or I will at least try to. First, I have The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, which is the first book in a series that is called The Bone Season, maybe, I think. And yeah, this book was recommended to me on the 12 months, 12 books by 12 friends thing that went around Twitter as well as Instagram, I think, at the end of last year. And so since, I had a lot of gift cards, I thought I'd pick up at least one of the books that was recommended to me for that thing already, even though I have not read a single one of the books yet. So I need to get to that because after all, it's 12 books and I don't know anything about this. Aside that I think it's adult fantasy, I think it might be historical or contemporary fantasy. It's low fantasy, so set in our world, and it's urban fantasy set in London because it says London at the back. But yeah, that's all I know about this. The next book I have is a book I actually already read, and that is A Marvelous Light by Freya Marske. If you want to know my thoughts on this, I will leave my February wrap-up linked down below. But this one is a historical fantasy romance. I think it's set around 1900, and it's kind of set in this world where you have a magical underworld type thing, and you follow a main character who finds out about it because he is given a political position where he finds out about it, but also his predecessor suddenly vanished mysteriously, and so he and the second dude have to find out what happened to his predecessor. And yeah, it was just a fun read, solid 3 stars, and I just think this cover is really, really pretty, although I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the font. A book that also has a gorgeous cover and where I definitely am a fan of the font is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. This is adult high fantasy, I believe. I believe it's high fantasy. And this is a retelling of / inspired by Chinese myth. I don't know that much more about it aside from that we follow a daughter who is trying to save her mother. That's literally all I know about it. That's all I need to know about it, because to be honest, like, this cover was enough of a reason for me to get this book, and I hope I'll get to it quite soon, because this is another one I haven't read yet. Next, I have Dawnchart by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second novella in the Stormlight Archive series, and it's set, I believe, between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. And this is also probably the last book you'll see me getting by Brandon Sanderson in a new physical edition. The reason for that simply being that for the past few years, while I already did know about Brandon Sanderson being a Mormon and about Mormons tithing to the Mormon church, and that church supporting or using that money to support organizations that try to push misogynistic and anti-LGBT policies, as well as the church themselves obviously being misogynistic and anti-LGBT. I just, for some reason, always loved Brandon Sanderson enough to find excuses why it was still okay for me to get his books. Well, I don't care about Brandon Sanderson enough anymore to find excuses for myself. You can do you. I don't care if you still get Brandon Sanderson, to be honest. But for me personally, I just, you know, I don't care enough about him anymore to make sure to get his books right as they come out, right as they're new. And I just decided, you know, I stopped buying or supporting J.K. Rowling ages ago. And you know, well, with Brandon Sanderson, contrary to J.K. Rowling, who I don't even want to talk about her, with Brandon Sanderson you certainly could discuss whether or not he personally holds any anti-LGBT beliefs. I just don't want to give money to a church, like any church. I don't care. Like, I don't want to give money to a religious organization. That's it. Especially not one that's anti-LGBT and also misogynistic. So yeah, last book by Brandon Sanderson that you'll see me get in a brand new condition. Then next I have Dead Eyes by Laurel K. Hamilton. This is, I believe, the 24th or so novel in the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series, which was the series that I pulled from my TBR chart for March, so I will be reading it this March. And I don't know why vampire sex books need to be fucking 600 pages long. I truly don't. But yeah, they're always easy reads. They often have stuff in them where I'm like, wow, that's certainly an opinion. But yeah, they are my biggest guilty pleasure read as well. So I still want to finish the series, and the next one, as I said, is Dead Eyes. I also got Mistress of the Empire by Raymond E. Feist and Jandy Wirtz. This is the third book in the Empire trilogy. I read the first two books last year. Now I only have this last one left. And since I got a ton of gift cards for Christmas, I thought that I'd pick up the third one right away. In this one we follow Mara, who after the death of her father and brother finds herself as head of her family and head of her family estates, and as such she finds herself embroiled in the political intrigues of her country and has to make sure that her family survives. I absolutely loved the first book. I enjoyed the second book a bit less, but nevertheless I am excited to see how this series finishes. Then I got one of my most anticipated releases from last year because, you know, just impulse buy, and I had gift cards and I just wanted to spend it on some books. That's it. And that is Hall of Smoke by H.M. Long, which is, I believe, a Viking or Norse inspired fantasy series. It's the first book. The second book either just came out or is gonna come out quite soon. As I said, it was one of my most anticipated releases of 2021, but I never got around to it, so I decided to pick it up and hopefully get around to it this year. Next I got In the Labyrinth of Drakes and Within a Sanctuary of Wings by Marie Brennan, which are the fourth and the fifth book in the Memoirs by Lady Trent series. I still need to read the third book, but I know I want to finish the series, so I decided to get the last two books as well, since I already, as I said, had a lot of gift cards. And so yes, this is a series where we follow a naturalist, a scientist, a woman in a world that is very inspired by our Victorian times or Victorian England. And she wants to be a naturalist. She has quite a few obstacles in her way because she's a woman, but nevertheless we follow her as she studies dragons and makes quite a few breakthroughs and discoveries when it comes to dragons within this world. And I really enjoyed the first 2 books and I cannot wait to finish the series. The last 2 fantasy books I have are Jade War and Jade Legacy. I have already read Jade War. I have not yet, well, this is the wrong way around. I have not yet gotten to Jade Legacy, although I will read it this month and quite soon. It's the next book I want to finish after I finish the fantasy book I am currently reading. And these are also adult high fantasy. They are urban fantasy set in a world that is, among other things, inspired by like 80s Shanghai. And this is also kind of mafia fantasy, and so you follow a clan and their fight for survival within this city. And yeah, really enjoying it. Already scared of the final book because I've seen a lot of hearts breaking when this came out. So yeah, just anxious. That's what I would call myself when it comes to starting this book. So that was it for all the fantasy books. Now let's get on to more literary works. First I have Galatia by Madeline Miller. This is the short story that she only just published a few days ago, I think around a week ago. And I already read this, already absolutely loved it because Madeline Miller's writing is just, she's one of the best writers out there. It just is what it is. She has a gorgeous writing style. But this, as the name suggests, is a retelling or a reimagining of the story of Pygmalion, which is a part of Ovid's Metamorphosis. And yeah, I just absolutely love the way Madeline Miller gave Galatea a voice, and it's so good. It's just so good. I will continue gushing about it once I get to my March wrap up, but it is so good. Next I have an impulse buy. Actually, most of these were impulse buys because I saw the covers, I saw the titles, and I just had to get them. But first I have The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa. And this is just, first of all, look at this cute little cover, and also the title, The Cat Who Saved Books. It's just, it's so fun. And this one, as far as I know, I think has some magical elements in it, but honestly, I just don't even want to know too much going into it. It's also quite a short book, so I think I should get to it soon, but it's just, it's such an adorable little cover and book and title, and I absolutely love it. Then I have a book that I'm currently reading, and that is Afterlives by Abdul Razak Gurna, who won the Prize for Nobel Literature. Nobel Prize for Literature last year in 2021. And so obviously my bookstore has all of his books currently, and I just wanted to pick up one of them. I am about 100 pages from the end. I'm about 2/3 through it, and this one is a story that is set in Tanzania, I believe, at the beginning of the 20th century, during and after the First World War, and under German colonial rule. And so that's also one of the reasons why I especially wanted to pick up this one, because, you know, we learn about British rule, we learn about French rule, but there's not that many works that talk about German colonialism, and so yeah, that's why I thought I might be interested in picking up this one especially. Next, I don't have a literary fiction book, but I have a classic, and that is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I don't think I have to tell anyone what this is about, but yeah, it's just one of the classics that has been on my radar for a while. I've never read any of the books by the Bronte sisters, and Wuthering Heights definitely is the one that interests me the most, but I didn't really want to get any new classics before I had read all of the classics on my physical TBR. But since I managed it last year, this year I can go all out on classics once again. The next 3 books are books I got on my latest impulse buy because the covers and the names mostly. First, I have The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez, and I mean, look at this cover. This is by an Argentinian author, and these are all short stories set in Buenos Aires, I believe. And yeah, I'm just very interested. They are described in the back as masterpieces of contemporary Gothic and a bewitching exploration of dark inclinations that threaten to lead us over the edge. And if that doesn't sound good, I mean, what else would sound good? Also, it's shortlisted for the International Booker Prize 2021. So yeah, very excited to get to this. Similarly, this cover just spoke to me. This is Junglenama, A Story of the Sundarban by Amitav Ghosh. And this, as far as I know, well, as far as it tells me in the back of the book, is a retelling in verse of an Indian story. And yeah, I'm very excited to get into it. I'm not someone who reads a lot of verse, or any verse actually. There's also illustrations inside, and I just decided to pick it up because why not? And then lastly, for the literary category, I have Build Your House Around My Body by Violet Coppersmith. And this was another just cover by as well as title by, because Build Your House Around My Body just sounds so good. And then also for this one, I will read you the back because the back was mostly what made me pick it up. 2 young Vietnamese women go missing decades apart. Both are fearless, both are lost, and both will have their revenge. 1986, the teenage daughter of a wealthy Vietnamese family gets lost in an abandoned rubber plantation while fleeing her angry father, and is forever changed by the experience. 2011, 25 years later, a young, unhappy Vietnamese American disappears from her new home in Saigon without a trace. The fates of both women are inescapably linked, bound together by past generations, by ghosts and ancestors, by the history of possessed bodies and possessed lands. Violet Coppersmith's heart-bounding fever dream of a novel hurtles through the ghostly secrets of Vietnamese history to create an immersive, playful, utterly unforgettable debut. And if that doesn't sound amazing, I don't know what does. So I just had to pick it up, because why not? So lastly, I have the books that I purely got with a collector's mindset and for collecting purposes. First, I have The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nhi Vo. This I got because when I read it last year, I borrowed it from a friend of mine and I just needed my own copy. So I got my own copy. This is a retelling of, what's it called? The Great Gatsby. And it's just queer and magical and beautiful, and Nhi Vo's writing is just absolutely impeccable as well. It's just, Nhi Vo and Madeline Miller are just at the very top of the writing world. I don't care what anyone else says. But yeah, I just needed my own copy because it was one of my favorites of last year, and now I have it and I am very happy. Then next, I got myself hardcovers of The Ruin of Kings, The Name of All Things, and then The Memory of Souls, because I just love the series so much and I just really wanted the hardcover. I'm not usually someone who goes for hardcovers over paperbacks because I actually usually do prefer paperbacks to read from. But I don't know, for some reason with these ones, I just really wanted the hardcovers. And also, the read-along for the series is still currently going on. We're reading The Memory of Souls this month, but don't worry, even if, you know, you still have to catch up, you have enough time. Even if it takes you longer than May to read the books, just go and join us. Go and join our chaotic little family. The place where the read-along is going on is, by the way, the Discord for my book club, which of course is linked down below. But yeah, now on to the last book I acquired, or the last 2 books actually, I acquired in 2022. I actually got them in 2021. I pre-ordered them in 2021. They arrived in 2022, and I am so excited to have these books because I got myself the Illumicrate edition of The Song of Achilles as well as Circe. And I mean, first of all, the box is just gorgeous. And then when you look at the books themselves, I mean, Circe is mostly the cover that you get, usually just, you know, green and gold foiled. Also, I got the signed editions of these books. But then you have the Song of Achilles and you have the Lyre, obviously, and they are so gorgeous. You also have these spines with quotes on them. For the Song of Achilles, it's "I would know him in death at the end of the world." And for Circe, it's "Rare moments when another soul dips near yours." And I am so incredibly happy that I got them. Like, I don't even care how much money I spent on them because they are so pretty, and I still don't know how to display them, because do I display them separately? Do I display them with the spines out? Do I display them in the box with the cover of the box out? Like, how do I want to display them? I don't know. It's been a month, over a month since I got them, and I still don't know. But yeah, this is probably now one of my most prized possessions in terms of books. Definitely the most gorgeous books that I own, and I'm so happy to have them. And that is once again it for my book haul. I'm sorry, I have the feeling that this book haul once again got very long. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on any of the books that I shared, leave them linked down below. If you want to maybe buddy read any of the books that I haven't read yet, leave it down below as well. And I'd love to buddy read. I do love my buddy reads, like, not gonna lie. Also, I wanted to say my bloody reads, which, you know, I prefer buddy reads. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. All the links to my social media as well as to my book club of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, where I read one adult high fantasy book written by a woman or genderqueer person per month, will be left linked down below. As I said in the Discord, that's the place where we're reading A Chorus of Dragons, The Ruin of Kings, and so on. And yeah, with all of that said, I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!